Hi. I've been tagged on this thing that's going around at the moment about what 3 hobbies do you have which aren't related to wargaming. I thought I'd try and do a reply to this. This is the first time I've been in front of camera, so it's a little different to start off with. And I consider myself a painter and collector more than a wargamer at the moment. I've done a lot of wargaming in the past, a lot of competitions and a lot of other sorts of wargaming. But at the moment that's a little bit in abeyance. So I'm painting miniatures at the moment. It takes up a lot of time. But outside that, what else do I like to do? Well, I do a lot of reading. I like not fiction so much. I do read a little bit of fiction, but mostly it's non-fiction on historical subjects a lot of the time. Not just military, politics as well. So, and I'm always interested to find new books on periods that I know nothing about. And you'd think when you get to my age that most of the periods in history you would have some sort of idea about, but I'm still stumbling across things that I'm completely unaware of. Like for instance, there was something on the Swiss Civil War. I think it's called something like 3 weeks in September or something like that. Very interesting kind of idea. Who knew there was a Swiss Civil War in the 19th century? Interesting stuff. The second one kind of goes along with that, and that is I like to find out new stuff. I like to try different things. And this YouTube channel is part of that experience. It's become a little bit of a hobby in its own right. I looked at people doing this on YouTube and thought, oh, that's interesting, I wonder how you do that. And then set about experimenting to see how it all worked, how it came together, what you needed to do. And I'm finding that process of exploring the possibilities quite challenging, quite interesting. So I'd count that as a hobby as well. The third I would put down, I think, is walking. And by that I don't mean serious walking. I don't mean sort of going out into the Peak District or up into Scotland and walking sort of 20 miles in a day. I'm talking about a more genteel version of that. 3 or 4 miles, maybe 5 miles, ending up at a cafe or a pub for lunch. That is quite an important part of the experience for me. So my wife and I, we pick a walk, we go out, we walk, exploring the countryside. We're finding out all sorts of new paths around the area we've lived for this last 25 years. And that's exciting. And if it can end up with a pub lunch and a pudding, so much the better. One of my favourite walks, and I would recommend this to anybody, is British Camp in the Malvern Hills. It's a Bronze Age hill fort which is stuck right on the top of the Malvern Hills, about halfway down from Malvern. And you can walk up there. It's a fairly stiff climb, but when you're at the top, there's always wind blowing, but on a sunny day you can look in almost 360 degrees. And you've almost got a full panorama as you look out across the valley towards the Severn, or in the other direction across into Wales. Absolutely glorious part of the country. Made all the better by being able to come back, and just in the car park or just off the car park there's a little street-side cafe that does fantastic pasties and Eccles cakes and any flavour of ice cream you could imagine as a reward for having done the walk to the top of the hill. We have to walk a bit further than that in order to justify it, but you can walk along the spine of the Malvern Hills there. I'd recommend it to everybody. So those are the 3 things I'd pick out. That brings me to a very difficult part, what to do about tagging somebody going forward. I don't think I've been on this YouTube thing long enough really to get to know many people on it, so and the people I know mostly have been tagged. The only one who I haven't seen mentioned, who I find really fascinating every time I drop into his YouTube channel, is Ralph Astley. Always got something interesting to talk about. He does very long YouTube sections on thought-provoking topics. I'd recommend anybody to go and look at his channel if you haven't already. But apart from him, most of the other people I drop into on a regular basis have already been nominated, so I don't feel able to nominate anybody else, so I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so there you go.